This is Juan Manuel Leiva from alcalaenglish.es, and we're here, okay, to look at this structure in English, which is instead of followed by verb ing, or instead, which is used separately, okay, with meaning en vez de. Let's look at some examples. Number one, instead of going out last night, we stayed at home. Let me repeat. Instead of going out last night, we stayed at home. So, en vez de salir la noche, nos quedamos en casa, okay? That would be the meaning. For those of you who are, okay, at a lower level. So we say that in Spanish as well. So now let's see. We didn't go out last night. We stayed at home instead. Or we stayed at home. So one more time, instead of going out last night, we stayed at home. The way we use instead, okay, without of, would be, we didn't go out last night, we stayed at home instead. Or instead, we stayed at home. Example number 2. As it was kind of late, we took a taxi of taking the bus. As it was kind of late, we took a taxi instead of taking the bus. Como era algo tarde, cogimos un taxi en vez del autobús. As it was kind of late, we took a taxi instead of taking the bus. Instead of taking the bus, we took a taxi, as it was kind of late. Instead of taking the bus, we took a taxi, as it was kind of late. And now, instead, without of. We didn't take the bus. Instead, we took a taxi or a cab. You know, in New York, in America, they say yellow cab, the yellow cabs, typically American yellow cab. So instead, we took a taxi or a cab, or we took a taxi instead. And example number 3, instead of organizing the party in the terrace, we did it indoors. Instead of organizing the party in the terrace, we did it indoors. We didn't organize the party in the terrace. We did it indoors instead. Or instead, we did it indoors. I will repeat this last example, okay? Instead of organizing the party in the terrace, we did it indoors. En vez de organizar la fiesta en la terraza, lo hicimos en el interior, que es el interior de la casa. Okay, we did it indoors. We didn't organize the party in the terrace, we did it indoors instead. Or instead, we did it indoors. Now, in the next page, okay, a slide, we're going to see that instead of followed by verb ing has the same meaning in English as rather than followed by verb ing. So they have the same meaning, en vez de. Okay, so we could say instead of followed by verb ing or rather than followed by verb ing. They have the same meaning. And now let's see some examples. Instead of eating out, we had dinner at home. Instead of eating out, we had dinner at home. Rather than eating out, we had dinner at home. Rather than eating out, we had dinner at home. Number 2, instead of traveling by bus, we traveled in our own car. Instead of traveling by bus, we traveled in our own car. Rather than traveling by bus, we traveled in our own car. Rather than traveling by bus, we traveled in our own car. Example number 3. Rather than watching a movie, we watched a documentary. Rather than watching a movie, we watched a documentary. The same as instead of watching a movie, we watched a documentary. Instead of watching a movie, we watched a documentary. And last example, rather than going back by bus, we walked home. Rather than going back by bus, we walked home, which is the same as instead of going back by bus, we walked home. Instead of going back by bus, we walked home. En vez de volver en autobús, caminamos hacia casa, okay? En vez de ir de vuelta en autobús, caminamos hacia casa, okay? That would be the meaning of the last example. So I hope you learn this structure, which is for intermediate level in English. And remember, instead of is the same as rather than, en vez de, followed always by verb ing, okay? And in the previous slide, okay, we were looking at the use of instead of or instead of followed by verb, and instead verb ing, and instead is used separately, either at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. So I hope you like this video. Click like, share it if you think so, if you think you want to share the video with your friends or colleagues, and I really appreciate that. Okay, so I'll see you in another video, and hope you keep learning with my lessons in YouTube and in my other platforms. Thank you very much. See you in the next video, and have a happy weekend. Thanks for now. Bye.